Hello everyone, this is Electric Productions back with a review on the MAFEX Joker figure. This is MAFEX figure number 5 in this line, and as you can see the package is pretty glossy, so it makes it a little bit hard to see the figure. But as for the packaging itself, the box art, you can see here that it's got Batman. His name is also crossed out and the Joker's written there, and just littered with ha ha ha. Up there's the Dark Knight Trilogy logo, and then there's another Batman. As for the left side of the packaging, it's just more of the same. There's another promotional shot of the Batman figure from this line, just changed up similarly to what was done on the front, and more ha ha ha, and it says why so serious, as you can probably see. And then for the right side there's another promotional shot of the figure. Then there's a Joker card. So now on the back is where things get a little more interesting. So there's several promotional shots of the figure. It's displaying the two different interchangeable heads and I guess the different possibilities, and I guess these are all of the accessories right here, and then it shows the two different portraits right there. And yeah, they actually wrote me on each one. Finally, we have the top of the packaging, which is more of the same, but I thought I'd show it anyway in case anybody was interested in checking that out. So other than that, that's it for the packaging. So here's a look at the figure out of the packaging, and I've got to say it looks pretty great. It has a high quality look to it and definitely doesn't feel cheap or anything. So right now the figure is standing using the default MAFEX stand that was included with it, and it works pretty well, but I do think that it stands fine on its own, which is a really good thing in my opinion. So to start things off, I figured we'd get articulation out of the way. And also just a quick heads up, I'm going to be a little bit more careful with the figure while moving the joints, considering that a lot of people have made complaints about the joints breaking easily, and I really don't want that to happen. However, I have tried moving each joint a little bit, and nothing has really felt weird. Everything's felt perfectly fine. So anyways, it has a ball jointed head. So basically, it's the two-piece joint. So it's a ball joint on top, and then I believe it's another ball joint underneath, and then it can obviously swivel 360. And then there's the ball jointed shoulders. So obviously, they're both on the same sides. So it moves up about that far, and it moves down about, it actually touches the side all the way, so that's actually pretty cool. And then for the elbows, they actually bend about that much. I'll just show it from the side here. So then he's got a ball jointed torso, which is a little bit hard to demonstrate movement on, but so it actually turns out that the joint just needs to be broken in a little bit. It actually does work quite a bit. It moves forward, but I don't think I'll actually be using that joint, considering you have to move the jacket around a lot, and it's more of a hassle just to get very little movement overall. It's really hindered by the jacket there. Then moving on to the legs, he's got two ball jointed legs right there, and they move up about that far. As for back, probably about as far as the jacket. And they're also able to swivel, as you can see here, just basically like the old Marvel Legends ball joints, except a little bit more convenient. And then he's got sort of, I guess these are sort of double jointed knees, but more MAFEX styled. They reach about that far. And then moving on to the feet, he's got, I guess, basically just a ball jointed foot, which is a really nice joint there. And then he also has an extra piece right here which moves, so you can move the toe piece, I guess, if you want to call it that. If you've collected other MAFEX figures previously, it's probably already obvious to you, but I think it's worth mentioning that the shoulder joints and the leg joints do have that pull out sort of thing where they when you have them in neutral position, they're more hidden, and then when you want to do a more crazy pose, they sort of allow it to be pulled out in a way. Same thing with the legs, as I said here. So this is sort of what it looks like in more of a neutral, like hidden, and then when you want to do a more dynamic pose, it sort of goes outward, as you can see right there. So overall, I'd say the articulation on this figure is just really good. So moving on to the detail on this figure, the detailing is actually really good, and looking at the head on camera, it does make it look a little bit less like Heath Ledger, but it definitely looks a little bit better in person, in my opinion. But either way, the details on this are definitely very good. You can see they've done a pretty good job on the suit. It actually has a really nice feel to it, and the texture seems accurate for the most part. And they've even got all the extra little details, such as the undershirts and they're painted with the proper pattern and all that. And the scars on the face definitely look pretty nice, except for the fact that on the right side they made them more like stitches rather than you know, how they're supposed to look, like faded and more like actual scars. And then it's definitely got a rough texture all over the face, or at least it looks like it. When you touch it, it's a little bit more smooth, but I think that definitely works for this character in particular. And the hair right there, as you can see, has like a wash, sort of like a black wash, which definitely helps bring out the sculpt there. And then moving on to the back here, you can see more of the hair sculpt. Then there's the jacket right there, some creases, which helps with the realism of it. And then on this side, it's more of the same, except it's brushed over a little bit, since this is where the part is. And it looks pretty nice how the hair comes out right there. And then here's a quick look at more of the torso area. You can definitely see that they've got these stripes right here at the beginning of the pants. And there's some buttons right there which are really cleanly painted, and then there's some creases right there on the arm of the jacket, which looks really nice. And then the glove is up close a little bit there, and basically the same on this side here. And this right here is what the bottom of the figure looks like, so you can see that that striping texture continues down there, and I'm really glad that they didn't actually decide to just paint it and then leave it. They actually sculpted it in, which is probably one of the best parts for me in this figure. And you can they even sculpted it to look uneven as each crease. It does actually continue onto the joints, thankfully. Here are the shoes, which seem to be a little bit darker than the Movie Masters version of this figure, and there's definitely a lot of detail in there. They even put a wash on them, if that's possible to see on the camera there. And moving on to the side, the texture continues, and there's some shading going on there. I think they used a little bit of silver paint. And moving over from the stand here, there's where the jacket sort of ends. Now there was one other thing I wanted to show, which was the chain on the Joker, which they actually decided to use a real metal chain, which I think looks really good, and considering how it actually, you know, falls down as you move the figure or as it's put in different poses. So I just definitely wanted to show that. I realized that wasn't in the shot from before. And then the other thing was the detailing behind the jacket, as I just realized that there was a little bit of detailing inside of the jacket. So as you can see here, with a little bit of an outline, and then there's actually a logo there. That's a pretty clever place for the logo. And the pattern just continues, and you can actually see the other shirts back there, just a light blue color. And now, since this is a MAFEX figure, it definitely comes with a lot of accessories, the most important one probably being the second head. So I actually did have a little bit of trouble trying to get the head onto, or the second head onto the body itself, and I've heard that that joint may be one of the most delicate joints right there, that peg right there. So I'm actually just going to show the head right here, that I didn't really want to bother, since I probably won't ever be using this head, considering I think they did a good job on it, but the only problem is, I guess, the likeliness in compared to the first head or primary head. It looks good, but like the hair is definitely, it's basically the same, and it looks pretty nice. But the only thing is, like, the smile doesn't exactly look like, it's not exactly screen accurate. And the eyes give off sort of a different type, like it looks like the Joker, but just not as he appeared in the film. So moving on, we have several different sets of hands, and so we'll start off with the fists, which I think are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, these are a pretty nice inclusion to the figure itself, I guess, for either punching poses or, you know, just a clenched fist. So definitely two great hands. They don't have any use for the accessories though, since they are completely closed. But we do get a sort of like a gripping hand here. I'm guessing this is either for the gun, but then this one does look like it may be for the gun as well. One might be for the RPG, but nevertheless they still look fantastic, and they bother to texture each and every glove, so there's definitely no complaints there. And this is one of the two hands that he came when he in package, which is just the open, relaxed hand. And then this one here seems to be the hand for holding the knife. At least that's my guess. And then this one, which I have on the right hand of the figure, is the hand that is, I'm pretty sure this is the hand that's supposed to be used to be holding the cards. At least that's what I was doing when I was messing around with the figure. So the cards do fit pretty nicely in there. There's sort of like an area where you have to figure out just a little wedge, but once they're there, they're pretty secure. And it's just definitely, the cards are very nice. There's a closer look at them. They're only painted on one side, unfortunately. And the next accessory is the pistol, which has the extended clip, I'm guessing here. And it's basically just all in black paint, with the exception being the silver up here. So I'm pretty sure it's molded in black paint, and then this area is silver. And it's got a pretty nice sculpt. It seems fairly detailed. And here's what it looks like being held by one of the figure's hands. Now the knife is one exception in the accessories where it actually fits fairly well, and it's probably harder to get it out than it is for it to fall out. And you can see there's a little bit of detailing on there. There's some silver paint, and then the button right there is painted silver. And second last, here is the machine gun that the Joker comes with. So that's a quick idea of what it might look like while he's holding it. And so here is a close-up look on it itself. I think it looks very detailed. I like how this is flexible to avoid snapping since it's so skinny. So yeah, that's the machine gun there. So finally, here is the RPG or rocket launcher, and it looks really great actually. I just have him holding it here for a sense of scale, and if he will let go, there we go, and I can show this a little bit closer. So the detail on this is basically the same as the other accessories, very good, and you can see that they've used multiple different colors on here to ensure at least somewhat of screen accuracy. I think it looks great. And that is basically it for the review. So to discuss as to whether this figure is worth it or not, personally for me it is. I bought the figure for about $53, I believe, off of Amazon, and that's Canadian dollars by the way, off of Amazon. So it actually got here in about 2 days, which is fantastic, and I definitely think that the figure is a good price for what you get, considering that now the Marvel Legends in my area personally are actually bumped up to about 30. So I definitely recommend this figure if you're looking for the definitive version, you know, of the Dark Knight Joker. So that's my opinion. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, leave a comment if you have any suggestions, and if you'd like to see more of these, please subscribe. Thanks.